wherever you are in life, don't try to say the identity of your own world, the identity of what you likes and dislikes, because it is very important that you have some level of understanding and cooperation into your difficulty. Because when you start releasing the idea of what is right, what is wrong, where is the fault, where is the blame, where is the apology, certainly the life will become very difficult, because now you have created your own perception about what is right and wrong. And at this very moment, the world is going absolutely in a time of realization. Before this time, the world was in a deep place of sleep. Everyone went to their own world. They associate with group of people who praise their identity, love them, and they praise in that manner the other person's identity and what they do, right and wrong and all that. And then there was groups of people with groups of levels of deep sleep. I call it deep sleep in the sense of not as a conscious sleep. Unconsciously, your world is existing on that level. And if anyone behaves different to that world, then becomes the terrorist, then becomes the thief, and all this. But you have to understand the grace of God is in everything. Even in if you read the Bhagavad Gita, he's the thief, he's the robbery, he's the bank, he's the police, he's everything. So don't take just one part of it. So what I'm trying to say is accept and cooperate with everything to understand who is watching this, who is reacting to this, who is praising this. Now, if you are in a place of praising, it still is a part of ego playing out. You are the good person, you're the better person. Start doing that. If you're not doing and policing other people, you have no purpose in life. So what is your real purpose in life in this era is to wake up, not to go back to the sleep. Because the more I talk to people, more I spend time, they're talking about life pre-COVID or post-COVID or this or that or a past where everything was this or that, green or blue, whatever it is. Just wake up as it is. This is what it is. And today's practice just emphasis on the cooperation without having the non-duality. And if your mind is gently, it's very cunning, it goes back to the duality, even I want to be the great sage. There is no such a thing that there is a behavior and a personal pattern of a great sage. Otherwise, even the spirituality in this world has gone on. A few of amazing people, I would say amazing because I don't want to talk about anything negatively about anyone, stroking each other and saying what spirituality should. And it is an Instagram world, it's a Facebook world, it is whatever the world is. It then becomes a game that you have to behave in a certain way. So today's practice is, if you suppress and you can't behave the way you want to behave, be aware of that suppression. So to try to behave good, try to do the right thing. Because the mind is always will fall short. Your ego will fall short. Whether it's you're chasing the money, whether you're chasing the health, whether you're chasing the longevity, it will fall short. And if you are not in the practice constantly, where you are not going to find this self, it's a delusion itself. So when you wake up from a dream, you can understand for about, I don't know for how long, some people will carry the whole dream for the day. I had this amazing dream, I had this bad dream, oh my God. But you're waking up from a dream of a dream to another illusion. the only place it is not illusion when you are woken, and that woken person is not another personality. Maybe that's what I wanted to say. So really observe the difficulty when you're being challenged, because that is a place of awakening. And if you react, be conscious about it. It's not about not behaving in a certain way. It is just observe where the limitation of the ego comes and hit. And then it cries or it cheering for it. So saying that now very gently, I just have awakened a part of you now. So take a deep breath from that space of realization. Keep the spine straight and finding the limitation of this body and the mind, not as something that you have to expand. The only thing that you're expanding is your consciousness and awakening and realization. That's why in Buddhism it says, constantly break the identity that you're again and again forming. So see whether you can sit in a place without the person that came into the yoga, came into the awakening. Maybe you can start with a couple of breaths into the body and seeing how the breath comes and move, how the thoughts comes and move, how feeling comes and move. Now I will move the camera towards direct. Now take a deep breath in, the shoulders roll back and very gently drop that static from previously. The body has taken the shape of a past moment, or body has taken the shape of a future moment. And be aware of the present moment, whatever it is. Now take a deep breath in, arms raised onto the ground, interlacing the fingers, and allow the palms to face up. Take a couple of more breaths and allow the body to find that space of your awakening. And if that awakening is bringing a level of peace that we all want to be, spend some time on that space. So you will then understand what is feeling like fake or fraud, or what is feeling like. Now take a deep breath in, elongate the spine with more, and breathe out, twisting the spine to the right side. And release the tension of the torture that this body is holding, because someone said this is the way to live. Now take a deep breath in, coming back. Change the formation of the legs. And be conscious about the elongation of the space. The real adventure is in this present moment. Arms raised onto the ground. Take a deep breath in. Breath out, twisting the spine to the left, that expedition. So breathing in, very gently coming back into the place of the center. A gentle realization, nothing logic about it, nothing like a PhD. It's all your personal improvements, the growth, all your yoga, all your meditation, all your reading books has emerged. And you are responsible for every moment in your life. Internal, external circumstances, not as a punishment, not as a behavioral thing. Just observe that space. Now take a gentle moment. Now we are not control of what is happening to us, but just observe your mind. We are always in control of how we interpret what has happened to us. Also how we react and respond. Whether through the breath, whether through the verbal, whether through the gesture of the fingers. Huh? So just take a moment of the interpretation of the lives. Not by the force of the TV, not by the force. Even the channels are fighting just to get the likes and dislikes. So just take a moment from that likes and dislikes. Even to the responsibility to interpret the meaning of this particular moment. Choose to respond by witnessing it. It does not need any further interpretation. Don't take the active role of the very moment. Take a moment from the metrics and the measuring of the moment. Take a moment of the good or the bad. Now, once you are in that space, very gently breathe out and very gently collapse the spine onto a seated head. Very gently moving that energy through that space of that spine. So you can see the spine, you can feel the spine, not on a level of the anatomy, on the level of the Google. Now take a deep breath in, coming, shoulders roll back, opening up, tongue roll up onto the upper palate, energy gaze onto the space of the Chiddakasha. So the energy gazing, and you're taking responsibility to observe it. Breathe out into the space of the cat. Breathing in, tongue roll up onto the upper palate, energy gaze onto the space. Now a neutral spine. Now take a deep breath in. Gently anus lock, navel lock, throat, subtly chin pull back, lock. Holding the Maha Mula Bandha. At that very moment, just don't force anything. Accepting the responsibility in this very moment. Breathe out, gently release the lock and come into a space of you don't need to breathe. Just holding that space, just allowing that space. If you need to breathe, you gently breathe a little bit and breathe out and keep holding that space. And very gently breathing in and breathe out. Now very gently walk those palms into the front and very gently allowing the gravity to feel that buttocks are dropping. But very gently you're taking some present tense, present feeling. Just stretching that body into the front. Now finding a place where things are coming to your own consciousness. Now, it's not about all the world content that you are totally into the space of the duality. It's not about who wrote and who says something. It is your responsibility for choosing to react or respond to things. So there is no blaming someone else for your situation. And take a moment. This is very good for people who blame the traffic, blame the weather, blame the political parties, blaming the world because now suddenly, oh, we should get rid of gas and go to electricity. Oh, take a moment. Now, most people are driven by news. So they blame for their unhappiness. Now, if you take responsibility, no one to blame for your unhappiness. Because you always get to choose how you see things, how you react to things, how you value things. You always get to choose by which measure you experience things. Now, a awakened person experiences things differently to someone has been conditioned. Now, if a difficulty comes that someone has done something terrible, take the grace of it. Now, palms facing up and allow the shoulder blades to open up a little bit more and release and start breathing into this space. Whether you're creating from by opening up the body, opening up the mind, as you know that these have limitations. Even a broadened mind has a limitation because it's a tool. Breathing in very gently, coming back. Shoulders relax and just open. Arms stretch onto the side, take a deep breath in and forming the Garudasana right on the top. Now taking a deep breath in and look up, stroke, holding the Garudasana. Breathe out into the spokes of the back while holding the Garudasana. Breathing in again. Breathe out again. Now take a deep breath in, split the wings and twisting the spine to the right. Taking the responsibility and opening up your own emotions. Now, there is a better value of taking care of this. You're responsible for this body and this mind. But where you're watching, it's not a personal goal of feeling great. It is a vacant space, whether you feel great or not, whether you are broken or not. Because as soon as that comes, then there is personality has emerged into you. Now take a deep breath in and coming back. Take the formation of this gentle body and the leg formation change. Now you're performing the same thing by holding the Garudasana very gently, left arm on the top. Take a deep breath in, stroke the third eye, up, looking up. Breathe out into a gentle cat. Start noticing things that you have never noticed before. Breathing in. Breathe out. Breathing in. Breath out. Spread the wings wider and twisting the spine to the left. Now, all the problems comes you're believing yourself to be something. Then you have another person. Then there is hurtful things and great things are happening. So if your life is here, lift up another bar up where the duality and come into the place of non-duality. Warning signs comes when you are in the place of the duality. Warning signs comes when you are not, you're chosen to ignore or brush off things. Breathing in back into the center. Shoulders relax, left leg stretch back onto the space of the pigeon pose. So even from here, you can move into the pigeon pose. Now you are responsible for everything. But in the meantime, that responsibility comes not from a personality, not from a place of mistakes or justifying things. Responsibility of never making those same mistakes again and never overlooking the same signs again You will never suffer from the same consequences again. Now see the relationship that you have with your mind, the relationship that you have with the body, relationship that you have with your consciousness. Just for a moment. Take a deep breath in, breath out, drop the elbows, walk those palms into the front. Now, it's not about being a bad person and going into a good person, being an unhealthy person, going into a healthy person, because it's still in the place of a person. The rest of the world is in this, and you need to elevate yourself a little bit more than that level of consciousness. This is not a running away from a painful experience. This is not patting yourself for your personal growth. This is not having a conversation with a group of people that have similar experience. This is having a cooperation with the place you're in and taking the grace of it. So this stop the blaming the others is only to hurt yourself. Take a deep breath in and gently coming back. Shoulders relax and just open. Plan. This is the time where you have run away and pulled the brakes on a relationship because it was too difficult. This is the time to observe those phases where things was too painful for them to be owned up with. This level of consciousness need to observe that. Now very gently from the plank, drop the knees, rotate the hips wider, wider. Getting that energy and releasing the tension, the intensity of onto the other side. Now take a deep breath in, push the hip into the front. Breathe out, push the hip into the back. Knees wide apart, releasing the tension. Now, this is a bit more beyond the psychiatry of the everything, because you know what you're going through more than anyone else telling you a map to get out of it. This is not telling you what happened to you is not your fault. This is giving a bit more level of the understanding. When you understand this about you, you will understand this about everyone else. So whether we people have values or no values, it's not their own. Whether it's order or disorder, it's not from their own. That comes from a personality being conditioned. So fulfilling these irrational values are actually harming the ability to embrace life. Now waken up into that space. The palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest onto the floor, breathing into a gentle up phase. Breathe out into a down phase, a very gentle down phase, a very gentle animation, not just on a physical level. There is a progress. This is also to understand that your mind has its own limitation because it has a past. But it's quiet enough. Now take a deep breath in, bringing your left foot into the front, into the space of the pigeon. Now land your hip properly, spread the spine properly, spread the ribs properly, spread the energy properly. Shoulders roll back, drop the elbows, walk those palms. Now, this is not asking the circumstances to change in your life. This is a place of your choosing this posture, how to live with this limitation of the body, limitation of the mind, not seeing as it can improve. It is more of wakening up to choose how to live with that. So you're not asking to change your partner, you're not asking to change your this or that. It's not you're asking to change the disadvantage of this or that. It is taking a gentle step, but you can do something about it. This is not avoiding the responsibility. Once you have come into the space of in the space of the posture, in the space of the breath, it's not about blaming the crappy genetics, which I am going through. But I have a responsibility for this one. When I take this responsibility, when you take that responsibility in this moment, you take responsibility when you're driving. When you're driving very carefully, you could see the mindset of the other vehicle by the way they behave on the road. Not to judge them, but you're coming into that level of understanding. that I have to be more cautious about it. So you are not losing the next moment. You're not saying it wasn't for me. Once you come into that realization of this moment, the profound influence on the way you start seeing things in life. This is not about winning. This is also having those terrible events. It's not about someone dealing with great luck. Whatever you have, you're changing it. Gently take a deep breath in and gently coming back. Shoulders roll back, holding the place of the plank. Now observe where you are easy to get hung up on the outside world, the material world. Just take a moment. Strengthen your pose in this very moment. Not asking for an easy posture to drop your knees and stretch the spine, but taking the challenge. Now drop the knees, push the hips into the front, open up the space of the groin, and breathe out and stretch the spine into the back. So this is the moment where it comes to observe where your life, you're a short person and you cannot reach something higher. So are you blaming for being short? This is the time that people, when you have a discussion of you being robbed, they blame for you being robbed. So you can see where the collective consciousness, even when you're having a gentle chat about things, whether you're having a chat about physicality, whether you're having a chat about emotionally, whether you're having a chat about financially. Sometimes we judge people with these conditions and for their hindrances. For whatever the problem and the circumstances that you have, now you have a way to work with it without blaming anything. Palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Take a deep breath in and coming into an up face. Breathe out towards the down face. Bending the knees very gently, releasing the tension that you're holding, whether it's a trauma, whether it's a loss, whether it's an abuse, whether it's a death of a loved one, whether it's a serious health issue. Now don't blame the marks, the scars No one escaped life without any. We all have. I have a lot. And take the grace of it. Left leg up into the back. Give a good rotation to that foot. Release the tension of the trauma that you're holding. You're taking this responsibility in this moment. Left knee onto the left chest on the breath out. Breathing in, stretch back. Left knee to the left elbow. Breathe out. If you can hold for a few more seconds, take a deep breath, stretch back. Left knee onto the right elbow. Take a deep breath in, stretch back. Left foot into the front. And take a deep breath in and right arm reaching up to the ceiling. Clench and unclench. Observe this body without being personal to it, without being personal with its story. Right, reaching into the back touch. Now take a deep breath in, left arm reaching up to the ceiling. Clench and unclench. Into the back and touch the floor. Now take a deep breath in, arms raise into the back. Arms raise into the front. Bending the knees, sitting deeper. Arms raise onto the ground. Now interlacing the fingers. Keep your hips square, shoulders square. Take this moment. Opening up into the Virabhadrasana. Releasing the tension of the blaming, the shaming, and becoming popular. Certain crowds, so you are belongs to any group. Now blossoming into this space that you're holding. Take a mudra that is energizing that space. This is a good time to get the body reacting into these current situations. Gentle arch. Coming back into the center. Elbow onto the knee. Just right elbow pointing up. When you are coming to that steady place, right arm reaching up. Now this is a moment you observe very gently. You're becoming to see who is the real victim is, actually are. People are these days getting addicted to feeling offended all the time because it's give them a high being self-righteous. They want to feel superior. Right arm reaching into the front, then gently touch the floor. Now very gently take a deep breath in, both arms drop. Drop the back knee onto the floor, holding onto the front, and put the hips into the front and into the back. Few times releasing that tension. Now you could see at this very moment, the enemy and the sage both lives in your conditions. Now take a deep breath in, palms onto the floor, into a plank, strong on the pelvic floor. Drop the knees. Do a good rotation to the hips. Body rotation. Onto the other side. Stretch the spine. Just taking a break from the noise of the whole worldly network that constantly buzzing in certain people's ears. But you have a responsibility to nurture into the space, regardless of what the world is. World will come into a place of where it will tell our future political leaders that they have to have some level of consciousness, of stability, wherever the positions are. They don't need to be governed, they just need to be awakened. This is the time that the world should not revolve around you. This is the time that you have awakened. Now just observe this moment. Whether your mind is going to be nervous, your body is going to freak out. Just observe. Where is that coming from? That comes from a personality. Where you have left a conversation, where you have left looking after your body, where you have left because things were hard. Is it really hard? Because you're looking at a place of personality, measuring yourself by that old values. This is the time consciously to change your metrics. Stop behaving in the same way once you have failed. When you start saying these things, suddenly people may tell you that you're a fraud or you're a part, because it's very uncomfortable for a mind that doesn't evolve. Gently onto the down face. Right leg up, give a good rotation to the right foot. Right knee to the right chest. Stretch back. Right knee to the right elbow. Stretch back. Right knee to the left elbow. Stretch back. Right foot into the front. Arm stretching to the back. Arms raised onto the ground. Interlacing the fingers, palms facing up. Opening up into the Virabhadrasana. The space of the warrior. Take a mudra in the space of the process. When you learn something new, you don't go from a place of wrong to right thing. You go from wrong to slightly less wrong. Give a moment something additional in this moment. When allow the breath and the consciousness to slightly move less and less, even less, and make it a process when you're approaching the truth. It's nothing about reaching the truth or perfection, but being conscious into that space. Gentle arch. Elbow onto the knee. Right palms touching the sacrum, then elbow pointing out. And when you found a stable ground, experiment by reaching up. Now you're observing the emotions and patterns of the data. Switching into the pranayama. Very gently touching the floor. Right arm reaching up to the ceiling. Shanam. Reaching into the back, touch the floor. Left arm reaching up to the ceiling. Into the back, touch. Now very gently drop that knee onto the floor, holding onto the front. Push the hips into the front and into the back. Now very gently, this is a moment very gently you come into the understanding of your less fear of failure, because it's making you less and less. Your less fear of rejection. Your less fear of having an answer no, whether it's health, whether it's finance, whether it's relationships. Of course, to the personality, rejection hurts. Failure is bad. Because this is the map someone has told you. But it is not yours. It is a borrowed version of yours. Some other beliefs. So take a moment. This is some time that you come into your own world. Palms onto the floor. Into a plank. Strong on the pelvic floor. Drop the knees. Rotate the hips wider. Wider rotation to the other side. Don't put a long-term strategies on finding happiness. And don't sit into the what the whole world is talking about. Get a house, get a loan, remortgage, all those things as your priority. You cling to them because you assume that they are right, and you assume that someone is telling you the truth. So you assume that you know how the story ends. Well, unfortunately, story has never ended that way. Now take a deep breath in, drop the belly into the space of cow. Breathe out, anus lock, navel lock. Lock into the space of cat. Breathing in, drop the belly, look up. Neutral spine. Right arm reaching up to the ceiling. Into the back, under the armpit, of that shoulder blade. Now this is the time to releasing that tension and the doubt about future may hold, unless we get out there and create it for. So let me get the house, let me get this, let me get the relationship. Releasing the tension of looking for the right time. Well, to tell you, it has all showed us we are wrong all the time. But it's not bad, because it is now changing collectively the consciousness of the earth, possibility of change. Wherever you have gone wrong, if you have consciousness, it's the opportunity to grow. Now take a deep moment. Wherever I'm currently covering all those things that I've been receiving from emails, text messages, chats. So if something doesn't resonate with you, don't worry, move. Don't make it your difficulty, don't make it your stress. And gently coming out. Come out that you are most gratified space of understanding. Now very gently we are creating the same on the other side. Left arm reaching up under the armpit. Shoulders drop and release that tension. We look at the past and we laugh about how are we any different? 100 years from now on, will the future generation look at us and say that how primitive we were? Or they will laugh how afraid we were into these conditions. Will they look at us and see how cruel we were? And how did we allow it to happen? Take a deep breath in and coming back into the space. Just be aware of it. Wider rotation to the hips, releasing the tension of the body that you're holding, releasing the tension of the mind that you're holding. Shift the spine into the back, releasing the tension. Now very gently wake up the spine, waking up into the streets of consciousness. It's very suicidal to the mind. When I call the mind, it is very suicidal to the ego, whatever you want to call. So the consciousness of grace doesn't come from nice, beautiful words. Whether it's Buddha's conscious or Christ consciousness. Now very gently coming into a sitting posture. In this moment, whatever the challenge is for you. Sitting in between space without this, all that. This is not entering, this is not leaving. There is no mind chatter. There is no inner commentary. Accept that your path is different. People will judge you, people will label you. This is a moment that you're taking, not judging yourself according to an irrelevant standard. Collectively, the consciousness of the world is changing. You could see the screen of the old paradigm are still in place. Try to hear these voices through the news media and all the places if you're collecting your groceries. You have to let go of this perception. So start taking decisions from the space that not belongs to anyone else. Do not wait for the approval of others. When you come into this realization, arms raised onto the ground. Arms onto the Namaskar position. In the space of the realization. Does not belong to a person anymore. Just awaken. Namaste. So today's class is had up a little bit of a spin. It just shake you. I just did slap you. And not necessarily you. The path that we hold as we are. This is our world, because the world is not screaming, but people who have an idea about the world is screaming, this is happening, that is happening. And if all these things are happening on a place of fear-based, fear is a food that a personality can eat. Awakened people, awakened level of a consciousness does not eat fear or greed or anything, because they don't have that superficial hunger. So you could see the difficulty. Without hard times, people are on a sleep. Well, for many years, people were in sleep because they were being praised by having enough on the super, or enough on this, enough of that. But this time, it's more awakening. And how could awakening be a bad time? Regardless whatever happening in the world of shortages. Or you could see suddenly India has not buying, giving rights. So all the Indians in the face of, I'm sorry to say this, not personal, in America went and started buying rice. That's a fear. Or for me, I just told someone, asked me the other day when I went to clean a house, you said that you don't get rice. I said, rice is anyway bad for me, I'm diabetic. So I will find another food to stay with my sugar levels low. So there is don't allow anyone to decide this or that. And then someone have a problem about gas to electricity. This is always been there. It's more there because now, before you used to sit in front of a TV, but now the TV comes from your phone, or someone will talk about it, then now you could see what's happening. So the classes are important because you take a break from it, and then you refresh to awaken again. And if you awaken in your life, it's very, very hard for what they're selling. Before they used to sell food, before they used to sell this or that. Now they sell fear. And fear is the best selling one. I don't think there will be ever any ingredient that can be sellable as fear, because you could see people's reactions. And 100 years now on, someone will ask, well, if you have these teachings, and they will build monuments for that. But these teachings might be in these times for very, very little collective level of conscious people to elevate themselves, but it is not everyone's good. Everyone try to see someone physically sleeping and snoring. Try to wake them how angry they get. Now you understand teaching is like that. You can poke a bear and they will react to you. So it is very hard even to find authentic teachings these days, because teaching is also gone on to places where teachers are praising teachers, are not praising the truth or the level of consciousness. It is gone in all levels. You could see in your own level of working how it has gone to so many several places of distraction. But the distraction itself is good because it is awakening. It is awakening. And if we didn't have the opposition, we would have gone to a longer sleep. But now we really know you should be governed by your own consciousness, nothing other than that. So I hope that it was not personal, it's just a level of realization to simply let go of the personality that we are holding, and also see the personality from not from another personal level of I'm a spiritual teacher, I'm awakened person. If you're awakened, you should face the difficulty in an awakened way. And also you have to be very careful when you are spiritually awakening and when you're not talking, when you really want to slap the other person. Now that's suppression. That suppression also can come out on a different level. So these behavior patterns that form by certain levels of teach, you have to be very conscious about it. And thank you, and my love to you all, this beautiful community that we have together. I was just discussing. Love to you all. Namaste Sylvia, Namaste Andrew, Namaste Elise, Namaste Mary, Namaste Rebecca, and my belated birthday wishes for Rebecca. May you live more with health, wealth, and happiness to serve the purpose. Love you all. Bye.